The Biden administration is granting nearly 500,000 Venezuelan migrants temporary legal status that will allow them to access work permits in the United States.
So this comes as New York City deals with its own unprecedented influx of asylum seekers. So for more on this, we're joined here in Studio 57 with Murad Awawdeh. He is an executive director of the New York Immigration Coalition. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So one of the things we heard from the mayor is that the process to allow people to get to work is too slow, too long. And so I'm wondering, what is your response to the administration granting these temporary protection for Venezuelans that will also allow them to work?
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is something that we've been advocating for over a year at this point in the redesignation and renewal of temporary protected status, not just for Venezuela, but for other countries as well. So this is going to give immediate relief almost once folks apply and submit their applications for immigration relief and work authorization. The larger piece here is, getting as many folks on their feet as quickly as possible. And that's what we've been fighting for at the federal level, getting the supports we need from the state and the city to also support people in that as well.
Right.
So it's not as simple as just saying,
you got a work permit,
yeah,
get out there.
We need to actually do the work to get folks into the formal economy. And the first step is work authorization. The second step is let's get folks into the formal economy where they're earning a living wage, where they won't be exploited, and then be able to set up, their lives here.
So on one hand, this is one of the wealthiest cities in the world and the highest concentration of wealth in the world. On the other hand, New York City and other cities across the country are dealing with the myriad of issues because of budget crises. You've got rising inflation, interest rates are high, services are failing in many instances, which is, again, remarkable in one of the wealthiest cities in the world. So, as you know, the city's already been spending millions of dollars to care for the influx of migrants that have entered the city. Is there a moment where it becomes untenable? You heard in Manuel Bojorquez's package, he's in El Paso talking to people who run shelters there who are trying to get migrants on their feet and integrated into the system, that they are at a breaking point. I mean, how much more can not just New Yorkers, but Americans who are seeing this influx take?
I think if we look at history, right, let's just go back to the early 1900s, 1930. We were seeing 10,000 people coming into New York a day. 10,000 people per day, right? Over 200,000 people coming to the city at that time. But let's not go that far. Let's go back to 1996 to 2001. We were seeing over 110,000 people coming to New York per year. So this is a moment.
But those people aren't migrants.
Yes, they were.
Yeah? Okay.
So I think for us, we have to really look back at history and see what lessons we know. But one thing we need is for people in government, from President Biden down to Mayor Eric Adams, to step into their leadership in this moment. Instead of spending the way we have, let's spend more wisely, right? Why are we spending and doubling and tripling down on our broken shelter system when we can be spending pennies on the dollar and helping people get out, specifically starting with our historically unhoused New Yorkers? It costs $383 to $420 to house a family a night, right? Instead of that, let's give them the $50 to $70 voucher. So we have to really get government to work and prioritize setting up people. Because when we invest in our people here in New York and across this country, the rate of return is 1,000-fold. So yes, things have been strained, right? And they have been strained way before the migrants came here. The shelter system, even when the mayor took office back in January 2022, he entered with the highest population of homeless people in the shelter system, right? That's just telling you that we have been dealing with an affordability and housing crisis way before, Mayor Eric Adams came in, but also way before the migrants came in.
Well, Adams in early September said that this migrant crisis will, and I'm quoting here, destroy New York City. How difficult did the mayor's words make what you and others who are trying to help these migrants, how much more difficult has it made your job?
Well, what we do know, first and foremost, we do not support the mayor's language. We do not think that a leader of a city like New York should be using divisive language that's going to be putting a target on the backs of vulnerable and marginalized people. That's just horrendous, and he should never do that. Regardless of what population it is, that is not appropriate for someone who's the mayor of New York City to be doing. What we do know is that our community is not destroyers. They are builders. We are the people who plant the seeds and watch everything grow. Every single aspect of New York City and New York State has been touched and has a huge impact by the immigrant community, from our roads to our bridges to our skyscrapers, all the way to the food that we eat here, right? So we have had significant and seismic impacts on the economy here and continue to sustain the local economies, not just here in New York City, but across the state. And we'll continue to do that for generations to come, regardless of whoever is in the moment trying to put our community down.
One of the things that might be, again, a lot. You mentioned something interesting, and it got me thinking about the migrants and immigration in the United States. You referenced the 1900s or early 1900s and the 1990s, and obviously the difference between now and then is there's no internet, right? Every day, people are seeing the messaging from a political party that you support or a candidate that you support, and wherever your politics lie is how you see this issue. I wonder, though, if there are opportunities to show what you just pointed out, which that once migrants are able to have a living wage, once their children are able to be educated, they go on to ultimately be, if not green card holders, actually American citizens who contribute greatly to the fabric of this society, of our city and of our country. But I don't see enough of that. I guess I don't see that enough. My parents are immigrants, yours are, but I don't see that message resonating, or I don't even see it as much as I see, look at these busloads of migrants that are coming here, and now we've got kids in the schools, and now we've got, people that are going to have to be paid a living wage, and it's hard for New Yorkers who see themselves strained by inflation and other economic
I think
issues.
that we're hearing from the vocal minority in this
The vocal
regard.
minority.
And they will continue to be the vocal minority because everyone has work to do. Everyone is doing what they can to live right now and really trying to make sure that they're set up for a thriving life. We also have to remember that we just came through what would be 8 years of crisis, right? Donald Trump running for office was crisis. Him winning and the attacks on our communities was a crisis. COVID, we are still in it, is a crisis. So we have to really also acknowledge that over the past 8 years, we've been dealing with, as human beings, we have been dealing with a lot. And I think that for the bigger picture here is that the vocal minority continues, to have their rhetoric be put on prime time, but, folks aren't covering the great stories that we're seeing on the ground, right? They're not covering that. Since the buses first arrived here, it was ordinary New Yorkers who stepped up and supported folks, right? Not just with, coming to the bus depot to volunteer and help guide people, but donating money, donating clothes, donating food, and making sure that our newest New Yorkers felt welcomed, because no one should feel like once you need a little bit of support to get on your feet should be turned away, especially not in a city like New York.
Murad Awawdeh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.